Hi there, Emily Midgett here with you today from 6th Street Sundries, and today I have a new project featuring one of my new stamp sets that I designed for Simon Says Stamp called Butterfly Ranunculus, and I'm super excited that it was included in the September 1st release for the STAMPtember 2022 celebration. So let's get started with the details. I designed this Butterfly Ranunculus set. It's got some big blooms and some sprigs and lots of foliage and then coordinating dies with a ton of different sentiments that I really wanted some kind of poignant sentiments that would be good for like a sympathy card or a thinking of you card or an encouragement card. So this set has a lot of really great sentiments in it. And I'm just stamping all of the floral images onto some white cardstock. This is Copic friendly white cardstock. And I've used Hero Art's intensified black ink. And I have stamped it a few times because these images are pretty detailed, and so I am making sure that I get all of that detail by stamping it multiple times. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to create a kind of a halo around all of these stamped images with a Copic marker that matches the Hero Arts Shamrock Green cardstock. I'm doing this because I don't know about you, but the white edge around die cuts drives me crazy when I have a colored cardstock base. And one of the ways that I kind of get around that is by adding color around the edge of my die cuts. So like if I'm watercoloring, I'll use a watercolor wash all over the exterior of my image. So, but this is the first time that I've tried this technique. I saw Dawn from W+9 do something similar with a very light blue colored Copic marker. And I thought that that would be perfect to use with I love really bright saturated colored cardstock. So I thought I would try it with this kind of Kelly green colored Copic marker. And so now we're just going to, I've added that green halo around the edge, just enough green that when I die cut it, it will pick up all of that green. That edge will just be completely green. And that way it doesn't detract from that deep, intense jewel green cardstock that we're going to use from the background. So I'm doing a little bit different color combination for me. I tend to keep things as realistic as I possibly can when I am choosing color combinations for my flowers. There are very few flowers in nature that are blue and much less any that are aqua. But I thought it would be fun to use kind of a different color combination. I was thinking of kind of a like a silk brocade with a deep emerald green background with this really bright, happy, cheerful, aqua colored flower that just pops out of that bright green. So I'm using BG49, BG53, BG01, B00, and B000. I like to use at least 4 colors on my Copic coloring, especially when I have a large image like this, because you want lots of variation and lots of you want to have that contrast of color. You want the dark to the light. So when I use that BG49, that's the darkest shade, I try to do my lighter 4 colors first, and then I go back in and I add just a few touches of that BG49, and then I blend that out with those lighter 4 colors. So you'll notice I'm starting out with the 4 lighter colors. Then as I work that color in, I go back and I add just a few light touches of that BG49, because a little goes a long way with these really dark colors, especially if you're trying to keep a lighter image, if you're trying to keep the overall feel of the flower a little bit lighter and a little bit less intense. A little goes a long way with those super dark colors. So just barely touch your marker to that area that you want to be most shadowed. I like to work from dark to light with my Copic markers. So I start with the darkest area, the most shadowed area first. So that would be the area closest to the center of the flower. And then I push that color out with the subsequently lighter markers. So I'm I rotate the paper a lot so that I'm pushing that color away from me, keeping the tip of the marker pointed away from me and pushing that color out. I do kind of work in a circular motion sometimes, especially if I'm trying really hard to blend and get a really smooth blend from one color to the other. But here's the finished product, and now we're going to work on the foliage. I have T7, BG78, G28, and G09. Now, you might be thinking, T7, that's not at all in the green family. I like to add neutrals, dark neutrals, to my bright color families when I'm trying to get a really deep, intense shadow, when I really want, I've got very light colors for the blue flower, but I want these leaves to be super intense and vibrant. So I'm using touches of T7, that toner color, that really almost black color, and I'm using that as my deepest shadow. And I am working that color in as long as you, alcohol markers are amazing to me in that you can have colors that are completely unrelated to each other, not even close to each other on your color chart, but you can work them as long as you keep working the color in with the markers. You can get a fairly smooth blend. So I'm just adding touches of T7 and then working those three shades of green in by I have the marker again pointed away from me and I'm pushing that color out away from me. I find that I get the best control over where the color is going if I can see it, and I see it better when the marker tip is pointed away from me. So here again, I'm just adding T7 and then I'll go in and I'll blend some BG78 and then I'll further blend that out with G28 and G09. And that it's amazing to me how that those green shades blend so seamlessly into that dark gray, almost black color. So now we have our finished images. I'm not going to use the smaller sprigs down at the bottom, but I've colored all of the images and I've outlined them with that bright Kelly green Copic marker that coordinates perfectly with the Hero Arts Shamrock cardstock. I've die cut the images with the coordinating Butterfly Ranunculus dies, and I'll link all of the products that I'm using in the description below. And you can see I put them up against the cardstock base, and I could see more easily there's just a little area that I did not quite color out far enough around the edge of my image. So I went back in and I touched that up with that same green marker. So now I'm going to use the Nesting Domed Arches dies from Simon Says Stamp. I've die cut one from some more of that Shamrock cardstock. And then I've run it through my die cut machine with the Simon Says Stamp Detail Mandala die, just to add that pierced texture, that kind of it's almost like a embossed or stitched texture to the background. Just a really simple way to add a little bit of extra interest to the background with that texture. So I've heat embossed a greeting from the Butterfly Ranunculus stamp set using silver embossing powder again on that Shamrock cardstock. We're going for kind of a monochromatic look to allow those blue, aqua blue blooms to pop. And this, because this does have these piercing, these stitched hole, these little holes in the domed arch die cut, I'm kind of using the solid areas as a guide for where to put my foam adhesive. I'm going to adhere that in the bottom corner of my Shamrock A2 sized card base. And then I'm going to arrange my flowers in kind of a cluster around that nested domed arch die cut. I do use single and double layers of foam tape because I want lots of dimension. I want, when I'm working with monochromatic color schemes, I like to add lots of height to my cards because that helps to keep your eye interested in this what could be considered boring color scheme, you've got all this texture, all of this height, all of these different elements that draw your eye to the card and create interest in that card. So I'm using lots of different heights and textures and little different elements of color to create interest in this card front. So add one final piece of foam tape to the greeting, and then we have some. These are some baubles from Trinity Stamps. They're mint colored, and they coordinated perfectly with the kind of minty aqua color in the Butterfly Ranunculus blooms that we had colored. And I'm just arranging them. I arranged them in groups of 3 or 5 usually on my cards, and adhering them with some Hero Arts Precision Glue. And then we're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll check out the rest of the Stamptember releases. The Stamptember goes on all month long, and it's so exciting to see all of the new releases pop up every day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see some more of my work, you can check out my blog at emilymidgett.com, and I'll have all of the supplies and still photos linked over there as well. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.